Hi, I'm Susan Kapuscinski-Gaylord. I'm the author of Handmade Books for a Healthy Planet, and I've got some books to share with you from my collection of books around the world. This is a talk that I often give at libraries and schools when I want to introduce the idea that there are many different ways to make a book. That the books that we see in the library at school that we normally read are all pretty much the same as far as construction, and what makes one book different from another are the words and the pictures inside. If we go around the world and if we go back in time, we find that there are a lot of different ways that books can actually be constructed. And that traces back to the materials that were used. When people first started to make books, they did not have paper. And so they used whatever materials they had at hand. Depending on the materials that were used, the books would be put together in different ways. I've divided them into three basic categories: books that are strung and tied together, books that are rolled and folded, and books that are sewn together. The first I have of the books that are tied together, this is from ancient China. This is not an authentic book. This is a kind of book that has not been made since the 4th century. They're called slat books because they're made of slats or wood or bamboo. So this is one I just made as a picture, so I would have something as a copy, so that I would have something to show. And I was looking at a picture of an inventory of weapons from the Han Dynasty when I made this book. There are also books that have long skinny pages that are held the other way. And this tradition first started in India and then spread to Indonesia and Southeast Asia. This particular book is from Thailand, and somebody got this for me at a place that was selling materials for novice Buddhist monks. The way that these books are made is that they're a collection of palm leaves. They have holes in them that are threaded on, and they're threaded onto string with a knot or sometimes a bead or a coin at the ends to hold it together. The way a book like this is read is you would turn the pages like this and read the pages. Now this book has been printed, but I have another sample that has been done in a more traditional way, which is all done completely by hand. This book comes from Indonesia, and I'm just going to kind of untangle it a little bit here. This has covers made of palm leaves, made of bamboo, and the pages are made of palm leaves. There are coins at the end of the string, which is what is holding the book together. And in this case, all the drawings are done by hand. It's pretty much a picture book. There's a little bit of writing on the back side. What I find amazing about this is the writing is not, the pictures are not done with a marker or a pen or pencil. They are done with a metal stylus or a stick with a needle stuck in it. So when the writing or drawing is being done, it's just being scratched into the leaf and it's not showing up. It's just scratches in the leaf. Then afterwards, ink is rubbed over the whole thing and then the extra is wiped off. Now, after the books were made, even after they stopped making books out of palm leaves in India, in this area of the world, and started to use paper and other materials, they still kept that same shape. So the traditional shape of a book from India, Southeast Asia, is one with a long rectangular page. Now, there's another tradition of books which are rolled books. And one of the earliest example of that is probably the scrolls from ancient Egypt. Scrolls are easy. I always think of scroll as being an easy thing to remember because it's a rolled book, and scroll and roll are rhymes. This is made from papyrus. This is not old. This is just a piece that I found, but I've been carrying it around a lot, so it's gotten pretty raggedy. The papyrus is made from the plant that grew in the Nile River, cut into little strips going this way, and then pressed together to form a paper-like substance. And actually our word paper comes from papyrus. And this is one that shows the writing in ancient Egypt was hieroglyphs, which was pictures standing for sounds, and this is just a little bit of information about that. We always think of the scrolls of papyrus being associated with Egypt, but in Greece and Rome in the classical times, their books were also scrolls out of papyrus. And then the other kind of major scroll tradition was in China, Japan, Korea, and their scrolls were mounted on, whereas the Egyptian scrolls were just rolled and not usually mounted on anything. These were mounted on wood, some kind of a wood roller. This is actually quite large. This is not a book scroll, which is normally called a hand scroll. This is a hanging scroll, but I'll just unroll it a little bit just so you can see some of the writing. Now, one of the things about a scroll is that they're a little bit awkward to use because they have to be unrolled and then rewound to read them again. And they also, it's very hard to find what you're looking for. Some of the scrolls could be 20 feet long, and if you're trying to find a passage in there somewhere, it can be a little bit hard to find. So in China, the first books were the slat books, then they were scrolls, and from there they went into what are called accordion books. And because the long piece, so they kept the long piece of the scroll, but instead of just rolling it up, they folded it so it was easier to turn it as pages. And this is a book that I got in Chinatown in Boston. It's called something about, it's basically about festivals for the different seasons going through the year. There are illustrations alternating between the pages, and the text is in English and in Chinese. So the accordion books were made in a lot of parts of Asia, China, Japan, Korea, also India, Southeast Asia. They also had a home in Mexico and Central America. And the Aztecs and the Mayans made accordion books way back when. Some of those were made from deerskin, and some of them were made from a paper that was made from the inner bark of the fig tree. It's called either a matal or a mate paper. Now, there's a village in Mexico where the paper is still being made today. It's called San Pablito. And this is a book by the healer in the village. And he performs ceremonies with cut paper figures. And this is a book about ones used in ceremonies to bring the rain, to help the crops grow. And this is the god of pineapple. You can see he's kind of got pineapples coming from it. So this background paper is made from the inner bark of the fig tree, as is the brown here. So accordion books, I will say, are probably my favorite kind of book. It's to make. They're very versatile. They're easy to make. And what I like about them is you can open up and see more than one page at a time.